What's your favorite scary movie? Hey, man.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the Dancing now.
We're gonna get you.
Oh, not on the beat!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we are talking about The Black Phone, coming from Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill, and kind of their return to horror since Sinister from all the way back to the early 2010s. We're gonna get into that in just a second here, but first I'm gonna need y'all to like this video, subscribe, do all that, or this creepy picture of Ethan Hawke, the guy. Ethan Hawke in his creepy mask, he's gonna come after you while you sleep. And that's not fun. I would not want this guy in my room while I was sleeping. Not from some of these really scary pictures of him. Oh man. Alrighty, so let's talk about this. Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill have not made a horror movie in a while. The last thing they did together was Doctor Strange, and that was awesome. I loved it. If you like Marvel movies, that's honestly one of the better ones out there in my opinion. But Sinister, from 2011, I believe, is just one of the it came out later than that, I think. But Sinister is just one of the scariest modern horror movies out there. I think it has one of the scariest jump scares of all time. That lawnmower scene still gets me every time I watch it. It's definitely up there for me, at least. I know some people discount jump scares as being like not real terror or horror, but I don't know, man. In Insidious and Sinister, I jumped out of my seat and nearly cried because of two of the scenes from both of those movies. So if that's not real terror, I don't know what to tell you. Sinister's a great freaking movie. I love it, and I cannot wait to see Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill adapt a Joe Hill short story. Now, you might be unfamiliar with Joe Hill, and that's perfectly okay because the last name doesn't sound very familiar, but you might know his dad, Stephen King. Yes, the man did not take up the mantle of his father because he wanted to make it his own way, and he didn't want to be like, oh, I'm Joe King, the son of famous author Stephen King. He wanted to do it his own way, and I respect Joe Hill for that. I've read a lot about him. Seems like a really cool dude. His short story, The Black Phone, is being adapted into like a full-length, huge movie. I think it's like almost 2 hours long, is to what I was reading. And this is a short story, so they've adapted this into a much longer story. They've obviously had to change some things, which is like maybe controversial to some people who were like a fan of the story. I actually did read it a long time ago. It's part of one of his collections of short stories. He has a few now. I think he either has like 2 or 3, but I remember reading this story and it's pretty cool. I definitely could see them adding more to it though. It definitely felt like it was like almost like a little bare bones and could use some meat on those bones, as to what I remember from reading it only one time a long time ago, maybe like 2 or 3, 4 years ago when I read this. But the other thing about this new movie coming out on June 24th later this year is that the mask that Ethan Hawke's killer character will be wearing is designed by none other than horror legend Tom Savini. Yes, oh yeah, Tom Savini came onto this movie and was like, here's a super cool mask. And honestly, it's already super iconic. I mean, Ethan Hawke in this mask looks super scary. I'm looking at this picture on this Bloody Disgusting article right now. Man's looks like he's covered in blood, and he just looks scary as heck with that axe in his hand. He's giving me Jack Nicholson from The Shining vibes, and I love it. I am all about that. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer that came out later last year, but it looks really scary. The whole concept of like the black balloons and all that, it's visually stunning. It looks like there's gonna be some amazing performances from not only the kid in this film, but also Ethan Hawke, who says a lot about his villain character in this little article here. Hawke talks about his character saying, I've always had this theory that when you teach an audience how to see the demon inside you, they don't unsee it for the rest of your career. Jack Nicholson can be playing an accountant and you're still waiting for him to explode like he did in The Shining. But I realize I'm on the other side of 50. It's time to put a new tool in the toolkit. Villains might be in my future. And I am all about seeing more Ethan Hawke villains, because like, I like him in horror movies. He's been, for the most part, he's in a whole bunch of great horror films. Sinister being one of them. He is like the lead role. He's the protagonist in Sinister, and then he's also the protagonist in the first Purge movie. That's just like off the top of my head what I can remember from Ethan Hawke. I'm sure there's something else I'm missing, but he's a great actor, man. I love this guy. I would love to see him play some more villains opposed to the protagonist role I feel like he typically has, at least to my knowledge of his filmography. So I would love to see that. I'm very excited to see his performance in this film. I mean, just from a few shots alone, there's this another picture that I'll put up on the screen I keep saying scream instead of screen, and it's really messing with me. Every time I make a video, I do that because I've said scream so many times in videos. I'm just used to saying that. But anyways, side tangent over. There's this shot in the trailer that just really messes me up, and it's really scary. It's got like this musical cue that's like, oh, it gives me a shock every time I see it. But I'm gonna put it up on the screen now. It's Ethan Hawke, and he's looking like this, and he's all like super creepy. He's looking up at the sky. It's a terrifying, really terrifying scene, and I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see his performance because I feel like it's gonna be a really just creepy, messed up thing. Anybody who like captures 13-year-olds and kills them in their basement. It's pretty messed up. So he seems like he's going to be a really messed up villain. Not somebody you're rooting for. At least I hope not. That would be kind of scary. But going off of this, Hawke continues talking about his character, saying, "That was on the top of my brain. The scariest thing about the Grabber, his villain character in this film, is that he doesn't want you to see him." Now, that's part of the mask, I'm assuming, is that he's wearing the mask because you don't want him to see his face. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's trying to like conceal his identity. You can still tell like some of his physical features. You can tell he's Caucasian. He's got long hair. You can probably get like his eye color if I had a better picture. But like, I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. Like that has to play some important role into the movie, maybe as to like how the kid is going to escape. Maybe like maybe ripping off his mask makes him all vulnerable and like freak out and stuff because he doesn't want people seeing his face. That could be a really big plot point in the third act. I'm very curious to see this film. Like I said before, going off of what I was talking about with the directors. Scott Derrickson and Robert C. Cargill, who wrote the script. These guys were the same team behind Sinister, and they did Doctor Strange. Seeing their return to horror, I hope it's good. Like, I really hope it's as good as Sinister, and I think it could be. The film already holds a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm gonna read you one of the reviews from Megan Navarro of Bloody Disgusting, whose opinion I trust dearly. She says, "Derrickson and Cargill revived the same traits and structure of Sinister to transform Joe Hill's short into a feature-length nightmare full of ghostly kids, violence, scares, and a trio of unforgettable performances." She gives it a 3.5 out of 5. So not a 100%, but pretty close. Pretty close. I'm actually a big fan of Joe Hill. Like typically when you find an author's son or like someone who's like related to an author and that's why they're famous, typically their stuff isn't as good as like Stephen King, isn't as good as Dean Koontz or whatever. But Joe Hill actually has written some really good novels. His story, Nosferatu, which is spelled all stylistically, that's actually a show right now that stars the guy from Star Trek. My favorite novel of his that has not gotten an adaptation yet. Oh, and also I'll mention Horns. There's a Daniel Radcliffe movie that's based off of his story Horns, which is okay. It's an okay movie. It's nothing crazy. But my favorite Joe Hill story is Heart-Shaped Box, which I believe is one of his first novels, and it's fucking awesome. It's as good as any good Stephen King novel, and I highly recommend it if you like reading, and I would love to see that adapted into a full-length movie. There's this character named Jude, and he's like this, think like 90s metal rock star, and he like used to be like a big-time rock star. Now he's like in his older age, and he starts seeing ghosts. That's all I want to say because of a heart-shaped box. That's all I want to say about that novel. I love it though. That would be one that I would love to see adapted in the future, maybe by the same team. I think that would be sweet. But I'm excited for The Black Phone. Like I said, this is these guys' return to horror, so like it should be good considering how great Sinister was. If you liked that film, you will most likely like this film. The cast is of course includes Ethan Hawke from Sinister and The Purge, like I was saying. James Ransone, who was also in Sinister as the deputy character, who was really funny. He had a really good little scene in that in a small role, and then a much bigger role in another film called It Chapter 2. You might be familiar with that. It was the biggest thing in horror back in the late 2010s. They will lead the cast, and it will also include Jeremy Davies of Hannibal, Mason Thames, and Madeline McGraw. So I'm very excited to see this film. It's got a great cast. I'm just really excited for it. It feels like a stereotypical Stephen King movie, and for that to be in the limelight like how it is now is awesome. We need more Stephen King horror. I could always use more Stephen King horror in my life. I love the way he sets up stories, even if sometimes they get a little clunky and insane, like Maximum Overdrive, which that's a whole nother argument right there. But are you guys excited for The Black Phone though? Tell me in the comments below. Leave me something down there. Are you pumped to see this? Do you think it's going to be one of the best horror movies of the year? Because honestly, I'm thinking this might take like the second or first spot. That's my predictions right now, considering how hyped this film is. I think it could be really great. Seems like they've spent a lot of time working on this and reworking the story. I have nothing but high hopes. I feel like this could be either a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 horror flick right here. So I have high hopes. What do you guys think? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this new video all about the Black Phone, coming June 24th, 2022. We are getting this summer now instead of on February 4th. It was pushed, which kind of sucks, but we're getting it then. So make sure to like this video, subscribe, support me on Patreon if possible. Just $1 a month, you get to see some extra content. Later this week, you'll be seeing a video where I talk about all the crap on my shelf back there. So make sure you're not gonna want to miss that for just $1 a month. Oh my God. There's also a whole bunch of extra content you can get there from like the past year that I've been posting on there exclusively. So make sure to check all that out. Link for that is in the description below. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.